And it doesn't exist anymore because the 49th Street East development tore it down. That's where it was located on my left. In this area, you're going to see many consulates connected with the United Nations. The Consulate of Peru. The city is always rebuilding itself, always recycling. The Spanish Cultural Center. We're now going across 3rd Avenue, trying not to run over the guy on the bicycle. There once was an elevated train that traveled across 3rd Avenue, but it had to be torn down. It was obsolete. And as the train went by too much, it made too much noise. As we look at the islands here dividing Park Avenue, that allows fresh air to go down into the tunnels where the trains will travel back and forth. You'll notice there are expansion joints on the streets of Manhattan in this area because, again, it is a bridge allowing trains to go in and out of Manhattan. Knowing the answer would automatically try to second guess what he did and why he did it, but we weren't there, so it would be stupid for us to try to say, no, I would have never done that. We probably would have done something more stupider. We probably would have got together with Condoleezza Rice. Now, she's really beautiful. Intelligent, yes. Conniving, yes. And donated to some homeless shelter. The 11 buildings were all built in honor of each Rockefeller child. A devoted Baptist, John Rockefeller, had 11 children. I say devoted Baptist because he gave 10% of whatever he earned to the Baptist church. Tithes. On our right, the ice skating rink. Notice the many flags here, similar to those. No, I just flat out after hitting my car. Scaring me to death. Similar amount of flags that you be found at the United Nations. Early in the morning, this is where the television program known as the Today Show is broadcast. Rockefeller Center. Notice an overwhelming demand for people to visit the Empire State Building. So what they did was open their skyline as well. They have an opportunity that's known as Top of the Rock. And the line for Top of the Rock is not as long as the line for the Empire State Building. We noticed the observation deck here at the Rainbow Room. Christie's has moved from uptown to downtown. Christie's Auction House of Fine Arts. are many concerts also created here at Radio City Music Hall throughout the year.
Timeline?
This is the former location of Time Warner, Time and Life, but Time Warner has moved up to Columbus Circle. Sports Illustrated, Life Magazine still has a location here. Continue up 6th Avenue. We just passed 52nd Street, also known as Swing Street. I don't know if Paris Hilton ever stays at the Hilton Hotel in New York City. But if you come here at 8 o'clock at night, the line for halal is around the corner. There are over 2,000 yellow cabs on the island of Manhattan, ready to provide service for you. And all of them find their way to 53rd Street and 6th Avenue around 8 o'clock at night.
For what purpose?
To eat from the halal.
Oh yeah.
That guy will leave about 6 and another guy will come. '59th Street and ends at 110th Street. In Greenwich Village. It's an entertaining, horrifying dinner experience.
In which way?
They charge you an entertainment fee to scare you while you're eating. As I said, just strictly entertainment. Statues are gifts from Central and South America, as you look here at Central Park South. Again, the park begins here at 59th Street and ends at 100th. On the way to regulate them, but they will. Friday night about midnight.
Is it locked in the night?
No. It is a man-made park, and you're allowed to casually stroll through. There are some people who make the park their home residence. There's no way to lock it. Sometimes the police enforce the laws that you're supposed to be out by 2 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes they don't. As we look at that gray van on the other side of the Merchant's Gate, that van is for the Homeless Coalition, reaching out for those who are homeless and hungry. On our left, the statue of Christopher Columbus, who we just celebrated his birthday last Monday, and the Time Warner Center. The Time Warner Center is a lovely place to walk around, stop and use the bathroom. As a contribution to Lincoln Center, they created what is called the Rose Hall, an auditorium acoustically designed to complement jazz music. On the lower floor of the Taiwan building, there's a Whole Foods supermarket which has a prepared food salad buffet where you purchase a meal by the pound. Growing up in New York, they used to be called smorgasbords if you could buy all you can eat for a certain amount. This used to be the Paramount building, now it's the Trump International Hotel and Tower. If we look very carefully, we see where it says 15 Central Park South. There used to be a recommendation that we paid $3 million for a one-bedroom apartment here, but I don't see that sign anymore. Denzel Washington and Sting also are going to be moving into this concrete building. I wouldn't mind going out with Sting's wife or taking her shopping. Luxury residence starting approximately $5 million. Do you have $5 million to spare? If we go back in our history, about 1625, the native Indians sold this property, the whole island, for $24. Hello, can I help you? Yes. Hello? And the ballet, where they'll also be performing Madame Butterfly and the Big Apple Circus. On our right, we have the ASCAP building, Associated Composers, Artists. And as we also look very carefully, this building is the home of Big Bird, Bert and Ernie, and the Cookie Monster. The educational children's program known as Sesame Street. Because it's so Parisian. Lincoln Center on our left is also the former home of Tony and Maria, an extension of what was called Hell's Kitchen. There were tenement houses here until 1959, when they started to create Lincoln Center. There's always something going on in this wonderful city. Always, always, always. In Albany, at the foot of the state capitol. On my left is the home of the Juilliard School of Music, which is getting a little facelift. They're going to be utilizing the space up above, adding a few more rooms to the Juilliard. And on the next corner will be 72nd, where we'll be making a right, headed toward the famous Dakota building. I'd like to draw your attention, on our left we have an elevated train entrance. There's a cult film which has recently been re-released called The Warriors. That's the subway they came busting out of going to Riverside Park. And as we look to our right, inexpensive hot dog stand where you can get a cup of coffee for 25 cents. Only in New York. Why would you want to go to Starbucks when you get a cup of coffee there for 25 cents? On my left, the famous Ansonia building, which looks like a wedding cake all the way to our left. More double park trucks, but as we look above, we see older buildings which bring a distinctive European characteristic here to New York City. We must always remember and never forget anyone from New York has ancestry heritage somewhere else. Myself included. People ask me where I come from. I said I was born right here.
And you've never been anywhere else?
No.
Or what?
No. No. I've been to New Jersey. There are people who are born in New York and the only place they know is like a 5-mile circle of where they're born. I am not that lucky.
New York's got everything, hasn't it?
New York has everything and everybody that you'd ever want to imagine. On my left is the former home of Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff, and Lon Chaney. I don't know if you remember who those guys are, but you might remember Mia Farrow and John Cassavetes, who played in a movie called Rosemary's Baby. You remember Rosemary's Baby?
Polanski.
Roman Polanski, another guy who will never come back to the States. He still makes movies, but not in the States. Well, it is in this building and in that corridor where John Lennon was shot and killed, the former ex-Beatle. They call them former ex-Beatles, but I say the Beatles are forever. And forever is a long time. I'm told that he lived on the 7th floor of this building, but I've never been invited over for dinner. The area where Strawberry Fields is located is to our right. Not right there, but to our right. We're gonna let you out of the bus for a few minutes.
No, how far is the distance when you run a marathon? How many miles?
Welcome to Strawberry Fields. This small portion of this wonderful large park dedicated to the memory of John Lennon. And rest in peace. We're only a little bit in the park, but we cannot hear the outside world, the noise.
Yes, the matter.
Excited to show you people for walking on that. What is it saying? publications, and the closest I've ever been to one is the Village Voice, where I found it to be quite informative and a way of finding jobs. To our left, the Museum of Natural History. As we look at this big brother over here, he's preventing people from parking here because later on they're going to come and bring a camera crew and park trailers and film equipment on this street.
Because
It gives the city money. No other reason. They don't use a studio no more. They film live on location. They'll come here, they'll film 5 episodes of Law and Order in 24 hours, and it'll be the same scenes, the same places, in different clothing. Around the corner from the Museum of Natural History, we have the Rose Garden, studying our solar system. We're making our way uptown. We're going to be stopping at the Cathedral of St. John Devine. As I look to our left, we see the building has an awning, but we see older townhouses which represent a different time period in New York City's history. Remember, 168 different ethnicities, 100 different languages. No longer are we called the melting pot. By today's standards, we're considered a salad bowl. Most salads, the lettuce still remain green and the tomatoes still remain red. They hold their texture. In New York City, as a Spanish-speaking New Yorker, or as a Spanish-speaking resident, sometimes it's hard for you to catch a hold of the English, and even harder for your children to learn, being quite confused. So there are bilingual educational programs which have been created to teach English to Spanish-speaking students. In the early beginnings, it was an excellent, very productive idea. Today, it's like a crutch. If you use it too much, you'll begin to depend on it. We're going to make a left turn here on 89th Street, one of my favorite streets. Trying not to run over the people who don't have a clue. Thank you. We're all walking around in our own little world as we look at the renovation being done on this brownstone, making it look beautiful. On my left, we look at the private school. This is the Dwight School. Private means your parents will pay extra money for you to get a better education. It doesn't mean that it's not open to the public. Anyone who has the same amount of money you do can enter. If I wanted to make a movie about New York in the 1920s, this would be an ideal place to come. Also including a Romanian Orthodox church. This guy is catching a little nap here. Look at that suntan. He must have been working hard all day to get that suntan. Today, this is a predominantly Jewish, African American, and white Anglo-Saxon American community. Again, we can see where the restaurant has Hebrew background as we look at the sukkahs to our right. Try not to run over the Domino Pizza guy. Just from one block to the other, it's completely and totally different. Many different architectural features throughout the city. As we look to our right, This building is similar to the buildings that were in Lincoln Center before Lincoln Center became Lincoln Center. But it's been renovated, adding new floors, new walls. If you look at this old Monterey garage here, that's the former home of the Ghostbusters. And as we look here to our right, you'll find the Claremont Riding Academy. If you want to learn the skills of horseback riding, this is where you bring yourself or your child. And at that time, the property on our right was an empty hole in the ground. On our right here, this was a place where elderly residents would teach children how to plant fruits and vegetables. Most children only get to pet rabbits at a petting zoo. Here they learned how to raise rabbits and chickadees, but the property went to a real estate investor, seeing that it belonged to the HPD, Housing Preservation and Development. We're now on 92nd Street and Amsterdam Avenue. Once we cross over 96th Street, we'll be in the village of Harlem. But even that has changed. Today the village of Harlem is known in this section as the Upper West Side. Upper West Side. And in the Upper West Side, you'll find the Cathedral of St. John the Devine, Columbia University, Teachers College, the Jewish Theological Seminary, Manhattan School of Music, and the original location of the Juilliard School. And I failed to mention the burial place of General Ulysses S. Grant. It's Thursday morning, and we see a lot of daycare centers taking the kids for a walk. Mommy's at work, kids are with the daycare center. By today's standards, Mom has to work as well as Dad to make ends meet. That's if Dad's still in the house. Women have decided that they can do it all by themselves. I think that decision is forced upon them. I don't know if it's a volunteer decision. We are now in the area known as Manhattan Valley, which is slowly taking a large Spanish presence. Whoops. Someone dropped something. I'm looking across the street on my right. It says 961. And the sign says, like a phoenix we rise up from the ashes. We declare Manhattan Valley a drug-free zone. Why would such a sign be painted in such a nice, beautiful area? Because it wasn't always a nice, beautiful area.
Needle Pond is around here.
No, that's in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Needle Point Park is like Prince Street. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like Prince Street, opposite on the eastern part of Broadway. Prince Street and Cosby.
That way.
No, that way. Eastern part. Like if you were on Broadway and you came out, you would go to. Peaceful animal on earth. While in his other hand, he's holding onto a sword. Notice carefully the sword is connected to the foot, which is connected to the body, which is embedded in the crab, which crawls along the bottom of the ocean, collecting everything that falls from the earth and the sky. And in the claws of the crab, you'll notice the head of the devil, representing good over evil. In the year 1985, this section was dedicated to the year of the child. And students of the cathedral school created these little animals here, and the plaque that you see all around is dedicated to them. This large building, which is the size of 2 European football teams in one football, and located on the highest elevation on the island of Manhattan, overlooking the whole entire island, giving it its blessings. Why? People from all over the world came here, all over the world, to New York, setting their goals on creating a better way of life for themselves and their children. Working hard for peanuts, putting away money that would help their children go to college, helping their children start businesses. The children's way of showing appreciation was building this church, whether they were Muslim, whether they were Jewish, whether they were Protestant, Methodist, or Catholic. They all came to this idea that they wanted to build something. Religion started in Europe or the Mediterranean. But here in New York, we can create a place where all will be welcome. And until the last 4 years, we all were welcome in the Cathedral of St. John Devine. But now they want us to pay a donation of $5 per person to get in, to explore the cathedral. So we don't do that anymore. But they don't charge us to walk around the garden. Embracing a land. By today's standards, that land would be the Lion City. If for Easter Sunday, if you were a Catholic, you would also be church. Hands are like they're going to pray resistance. That's the eternal flame, the prayers of hope and life. And if you look at this little pedestal, that's a spiral, which is a continuous cycle of life and death. In order for someone to be born, someone has to die. And yes, it's all here in New York City. It's like him. Your name is Noah, huh? Noah took all the animals into the ark, 1 by 1, 2 by 2. What did Noah and his family eat on that ark?
Vegetables.
But in books.
Okay, he came up with a good... Let them take this and start with us.
Yeah.
Try it. Fine. We have clothing. A child being born of a flower and a lamb. As you look at that spiral there, the continuous cycle of life and death. If you look here, we have a chemical. You guys got that good eyesight? We have the chemical formulas, DNA, and as we notice the different symbols in the molecule balls. Plus two guys shaking hands. I think that's Yasser Arafat and that's Isaac Rabin. Remember those guys? If you don't remember, that's okay. They're going to come up in history someday. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Washington, D.C. Looks like a lot of hungry people in Washington, D.C. Now, I've had the fortunate and the misfortune to be able to know how to drive. And I've always had the fortune to always learn how to get money in order to drive. One of the worst places I ever drove to was Washington, D.C. It was right around 2 blocks north of the White House. Was greater poverty than I've even seen in the South Bronx. A shame. This is the Old Testament. Over here, you have New Testament, books of the Bible. The doors weigh 2 tons each, so they never open.
Oh.
1993, 1999. Like you didn't hear it the first time. As we look here, we have a tour bus falling off the Brooklyn Bridge. That's me on a Tuesday or Thursday night session. See a little construction, a little chaos over here. Stock market, Wall Street. As we look here, we have the Manhattan skyline. Isn't that beautiful? World Trade Center. And we have ongoing construction here. What's that? What year did I say? No other symbols of death in the whole pedestal area except the next to the World Trade Center. This little portal, the Portals of Paradise, was carved out by an English stonecutter, a few students from Columbia University, and homeless men like the guy we saw earlier. You can look at the whole facade of the church 20 times, and 20 times you'll still see something different, something more interesting. Like right above here, covered with bird shit, our ancestors carrying the first commodity ever traded back to Europe. You know, everybody was coming, bringing stuff from Europe. But what did New York give back to Europe? Wheat, tobacco. The World Trade Center was the big tobacco field. Upper East Side. There was a ballroom restaurant here. They tore it down, and they're going to be renting you apartments for $1.5 million. That's until it gets completed, and once it's an actual building, then the value will go up. It became a largely black and Hispanic community, and people lost interest in it. Check out this young man smoking his cigar by himself, just enjoying a peaceful Thursday afternoon in Central Park. Do you know smoking is no good for you? I left, we're passing the City Museum of New York. Hello. I'm well, Ian. How are you? It should be. Okey-dokey. We're now outside of Mount Sinai Hospital, where I was born. On my right, as we look at the patch of mud, there's a patch of mud, right? Not significant. This is where local New Yorkers and visitors will play their version of football every Sunday morning. That's why it's a patch of mud, no grass. It is also where the child of President John Kennedy and his friends were playing football. May he rest in peace. When John Kennedy died in a tragic plane crash, over 300 people waited online to play football in that little patch of dirt. We're now on 97th Street, headed south. If you look to your right, on our left here at 89th Street, the Guggenheim, not in its splendor. I'm told the Museum of Modern Art is free after 4 o'clock on Fridays, and it's open till 8. That's on 52nd, or is it 53rd? I get confused. Address in tourism, 1040 Fifth Avenue. As we look at the teddy bear still outside the window, that's the former apartment of Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, John's mama and John Kennedy's wife. The Metropolitan Museum of Art. Fifth Avenue is a parade route used for all of the major parades, St. Patrick's, Columbus. One of the largest parades is the Puerto Rican Day Parade. This is a very large Jewish neighborhood. We're now off of the corner of 60th Street, where, for those of you who are Macaulay Culkin fans, we have the Plaza Hotel, where he filmed Home Alone. Not only Home Alone was there, was also Crocodile Dundee. That New York City train bus driver is really getting on my nerves. Creating and developing the sounds we now call jazz. As it left Harlem, there was one club located on 57th Street called the 52nd. I've stood outside St. Patrick's Cathedral more than you have fingers and toes combined, and I've yet to enter. You can see the Empire State Building from here. Bless you as we make our way downtown. Above 14th Street, the streets have numbers. East and 5th Avenue stays to the right, to the west. The building on the corner of 23rd Street is known as the Flatiron Building. It is said that is one of the first skeletal steel structures built in New York City. Seven World Trade Center, which was the last of the World Trade Centers to be built. They're actively using the PATH train, which was the known World Trade Center, still today in public transportation, bringing people in and out of New Jersey to Manhattan. If you ever visited New York, come in. Don't you love seeing where you're tapping?